So around the age of 20, 21, I decided to invest in real estate. I drove to downtown Toronto by myself without telling my parents. COVID hit in 2021. The political landscape in Canada wasn't what I thought it should be. I didn't see a great future for my kids and myself as an entrepreneur.
Today, I've got a special guest, Roberto Karabeta. I am excited to chat today about real estate, about construction, about tax advantages. We're going to cover a lot of ground here because I am sure our listeners are excited to hear about all of it. I feel like that topic is so important for any business owner. So with all that, you have to have good systems and processes in place. What do you feel like have been really a game changer for you? Which kind of system or process?
It's going to sound kind of cliche or kind of weak, but discovering the...
Welcome back to my channel. I'm Elizabeth Taylor, and today I've got a special guest, Roberto Karabeta. I'm going to say it right. Welcome. Thank you for joining me. I'm excited to chat today.
Awesome. Yeah, thanks for having me, Elizabeth. Honored to be here. You're doing great things, and I feel honored that I'm a guest on your show.
I am excited to chat today about real estate, about construction, about tax advantages. We're going to cover a lot of ground here because I am sure our listeners are excited to hear about all of it. Can we start with you just sharing kind of your journey into multifamily real estate and what led you to focus on that kind of value add properties?
Yeah, for sure. I can go deep into kind of the history of my life starting at the teenager years, because it will transition into my whys and my reasons where I'm at today. They all kind of connect because the timelines kind of worked in my favor. So around 17 years old, I got a job. My first serious job was working at one of the top 6 banks in Canada. I was born and raised in Canada, lived there for 42 years. I recently moved down to Fort Lauderdale, Florida about 2 years ago. I'll tell you why in a couple seconds. So working at the bank as a 17-year-old, I was a teller, like kind of bottom of the totem pole. But that led me to see different people, walks of life coming in, high net worth individuals, people with lots of debt, and then kind of people in between. One thing that stuck out with me is these high net worth individuals, they always came in with a monthly check, a monthly deposit. What I started learning and noticing is these checks were rent checks. These people were landlords. These people were new developers in the construction world. These people were attached to real estate, and they were making additional money outside of their career with real estate. So I was thinking, how am I going to be like these people? So around the age of 20, 21, I decided to invest in real estate. I drove to downtown Toronto by myself without telling my parents and walked into a showroom. They showed me what this new development project was for real estate. And that day, I signed on the dotted line and purchased my first real estate investment property at the age of 20 without even telling my parents. I eventually told them maybe 1 or 2 weeks later, but I just wanted to get into this real estate space because I saw these individuals from the bank that are very successful. Fast forward, I moved my way up to a financial advisor at the bank after 6 years. I got tired of the bank. It was kind of the same old corporate world. So I wanted out. I turned to my father. He was in the construction, home renovation industry. So I said, Dad, I'm going to come work with you. He loved it. Obviously, father and son working together. I worked with him for about 8 years. All while in those 8 years, I bought another 2 real estate properties on my own. So I started building a portfolio of single-family real estate residents as a landlord. After the 8-9 years with my father, I wanted to expand. I wanted to grow. He was at the age where he wanted to retire and slow down. So after a lengthy talk, I decided to open my own general contracting business. Stayed with that for 15 years on my own, doing about $2 million plus in revenue a year. What I did was strategically reach out to potential customers and expand my job platform. So I had 4 jobs going on at the same time, 4 projects. And while the rotation of trades were moving from one project to another, I was in control of the scheduling and the accounting part of behind the scenes. And that's what led me to understand the numbers and how kind of real estate works, how the compounding interest works, how the investment world kind of works and works in your favor. COVID hit in 2021, and the political landscape in Canada wasn't what I thought it should be. I didn't see a great future for my kids and myself as an entrepreneur. So a lengthy talk with my wife and my kids, we decided, hey, let's start a new adventure. Let's exit Canada and go somewhere where there's a little bit more opportunity and a little bit better schooling and education for our children. At that time, they were 8 and 10 years old. So that's the decision we made, moving from Toronto, Canada, down to Fort Lauderdale, Florida, about 2 years ago in 2023. This is where my whole mindset and the shift into real estate actually happened. This is where I started getting into larger assets. Instead of buying the $500,000 single family home, the $1 million single family home, I wanted to tackle the $5 million, the $10 million, the $20 million multifamily asset. Joined a mastermind, started learning, and I went full in that whole syndication process. I can explain the syndication model a little later on. So I didn't have a W-2 job. I didn't have a 9-to-5 job when I moved down to Fort Lauderdale. So I had all the time in the world to dive deep into this commercial real estate. 3 to 4 months into my journey, I purchased my first multifamily real estate asset using that syndication model. Fast forward to today, after 2 years, I have over 500 units under my belt, $25 million assets under management, and another 170 units under contract as we speak today. So I am a firm believer about this multifamily space, and also we can talk about in depth about the senior living facility space. There's huge opportunity in these two sectors.
That is a great story. I mean, that's why I was so excited to talk to you, because you have been in construction, in contractors' shoes. You also have been successful in real estate. And I'm sure you understand all the tax benefits and all the other benefits of owning the real estate, the appreciation, the cash flow, right? And I feel like that topic is so important for any business owner who wants to, who makes money and wants to save on taxes, especially with 100% depreciation now available to everyone. So I am excited to chat about that. But before we get into it, can you describe me, what does a typical day look like managing all those multiple renovation projects, multiple assets?
Yeah, that's going to be a longer story, what my day looks like. So what I've came to learn the last handful of years is scheduling is more important than anything else. You schedule accordingly, you get the big important tasks completed, and then you have time for little tasks in between your scheduling. So a typical day in my world is I go to the gym, 5:30 a.m., come back at around 7, quarter after 7, bring my kids to school around 7:30, have my cup of coffee, 8 to 8:30, because I think that's when you start clearing your mind, doing your visualization, and doing your kind of reset before the day starts. And then around 9 o'clock is where I have all these meetings. So in a typical day, because I'm on all these different multifamily and senior living properties, we have weekly partnership meetings. So we can have a meeting once a week on 7 different properties. So right there, that's 7 different meetings during the week. So I'll have a general partners meeting. I'll have a brokers meeting because I have to reach out to brokers to find more deals. I'll have a networking meeting where I'm networking and reaching out to new people through the meetups that I go to, through the masterminds that I'm in. I meet new people. So then we set up Zoom meetings. And then I'm talking to potential capital raisers that I need on my team when I'm about to close a deal. So using the syndication model, you need to build a team. An important part of this puzzle is having capital raisers. So I'm doing a lot of reach out to capital raisers to build that relationship and that foundation. And then eventually when I need them on a deal, they can come and be a partner with me. The afternoon is jam-packed with kids' activities, driving them to soccer, swimming, quick dinner, and just spending time with them afterwards. So that my day is consisted of a lot of meetings, underwriting deals, and reaching out to new people and new brokers.
So with all that, you have to have good systems and processes in place. What do you feel like have been really a game changer for you? Which kind of system or process?
It's going to sound kind of cliche or kind of weak, but discovering the app Calendly and linking it to my email and my phone, to me, it's been a game changer in a way because I don't have to worry about that side. Like everything's automated now. All the workflows are automated. So I block off Mondays and Fridays for no outside appointments. I concentrate on the business part of it about 80% of the day. So now I've condensed my meetings to maybe happen all Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays. And when someone's booking the meeting, it automatically comes up and I review it every night. Okay, who's on my schedule tomorrow? What do I need to prepare for? How am I going to kind of angle this conversation? How can I add value to them? So the easy answer is Calendly and these apps and these automations, these AI integrations have helped me schedule a lot easier. I don't have to worry about 1 or 2 weeks in advance. Everything's on my calendar and ready for me for the next day.
Yeah. So what made you decide to go all in into real estate and leave the construction space behind?
So I've always loved real estate. Working at the bank, from my story, I had a love for real estate. Working general contracting, it's kind of tied into real estate. So you see new homes being built, you see new developments, new projects, so you see expansion. And I always loved that aspect of real estate, and there's money kind of behind it too. So I built up a portfolio of 10 single family homes in Toronto before I moved down to Fort Lauderdale. So I always wanted more in the real estate game. I just didn't know how to achieve that large multifamily asset. I don't have $10 million behind me, so I can't go buy that $10 million asset on my own. You need partners, you need teams, you need structures. I always knew I wanted to be bigger and better, but I didn't know how until I joined that mastermind teaching you the processes and the networking and advantages on how to build a team, structure the deal, and then actually close that large deal. So once I started learning and closed my first deal, I absolutely fell in love with it. I went all in on building the team, building the partners, broker outreach, and all in on my commitment to build a large portfolio for myself. So that's where those 500 units came from in about 19, 20 months. So I see no stopping in the near future. I see opportunity, and I see a whole portfolio of me owning 4,000, 5,000 doors in the near future.
Yeah, it's all about several things. Taking a risk, you have to do it. I see it a lot of times when people are stuck in a comfort zone and they're just too afraid to take a risk. And another one is get education, get mentors, go to the source, go to the people who have done it successfully and learn from them. Those are important things. I agree.
Well, absolutely, because being in a mastermind or and it doesn't have to be this big mastermind with thousands of people. It can be a local network that has 20 like-minded people. But that attachment to someone who has done what you want to do already can accelerate your growth. It can save you years on reaching that goal. Like if I tried to buy a $10 million asset on my own, I would still be trying to find the money on my first deal.
Yeah.
Right? So you can't do what you can't do without partners.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about the financial benefits, right? I remember when I just hired my first tech strategist first time, the biggest strategy that they talked to me about, they said, you got to get into real estate. And it's funny too, when you were telling me the story how you got into real estate, I always expect everyone to talk about Robert Kiyosaki book. Because that's how I kind of got obsessed with it, 10, 15 years ago when I read it. I'm like, wow, that completely makes sense. I got to do that eventually. But that whole, like you're saying, you got to make sure you know what you're doing. You got to have funds. You got to find the good deals. All of that always seems to kind of stop you in track. And that's why you got to kind of get together with the right people. But the financial benefit, the tax advantages that the real estate provides, especially in the US, especially right now with 100% depreciation available. I mean, let's talk about it. How are you maximizing those strategies?
let's talk about it, because being Canadian born and raised and now living in the States, it is totally a huge advantage from a tax strategy investing in real estate in the United States. Although Canada has some tax benefits, very, very few, they don't have 1031s. They don't have 100% depreciation. I'm not going to go in length, but as an individual buying these single family homes that I bought, the banks won't let a single individual own more than 5 properties.
Wow.
So how do you expand in the real estate sector? How do you make your money on that appreciation, on the cash flow, on the income that's available to you? So now living in the States, it just blew my mind open. You have the 1031s that you can like just transfer your money tax-free to another real estate property. Like, to me, it's a no-brainer, and it's just compounding and compounding and compounding. Then you can withdraw it when you refinance tax-free. Like, there you go. That's the whole game.
That part.
You have that depreciation side that we can go in depth about, and that's a huge benefit to me when I'm purchasing these multifamily and senior living facilities. But just from an individual standpoint, the 1031 to me is a huge tax advantage. Huge, tax-free.
I agree. It is, it's amazing when you hear, a lot of people are thinking, okay, if I have a property that is not cash flowing or cash flowing a little bit, I don't want to get into it. And I see that side of investing as well. But when you are also getting appreciation, right? It always appreciates. And then you also see how much money in taxes it saves you. It almost becomes a no-brainer to get into it.
Absolutely. So the syndication model that I use to purchase these large investment properties is kind of broken into 2. One side is the general partners, me and my team, consisting of about 6 to 8 people that control the deal, find the deal, get the funding, underwrite the deal, get the deposits, all that behind the scenes stuff, manage the property. The other side is the limited partners. These are high income earners, high net worth individuals, people that have a career, they're entrepreneurs, they're busy with the day-to-day life, and all they want to do is have their extra cash work for them. So they turn to investments like this. They can deposit or they can invest $100,000, $200,000, whatever that number they're comfortable with. They can invest in the deals that I'm purchasing. I give them ownership, a percentage of ownership. I give them a preferred return. They split the profits with me on a ratio, and they are getting 100% depreciation to use for their personal taxes. So these high net worth individuals have what our tax bill of $100,000 with the depreciation on their investments. It can wipe out that tax bill. Mm-hmm. And if you're able to carry it over year, so it doesn't really expire on the first year of the first investment. So you're growing, these investors are growing their pool of money, doubling their money every, 4, 5, 6 years, all while doing it cash tax-free. To me, it's like you're pulling 2 strings at the same time in your favor. To me, it's a huge advantage, and everyone should be taking advantage of this.
And how involved do they have to be? Or they are just acting more like investors?
Yeah, so those limited partners that I spoke about, they are extremely passive. They really have no say on the direction of the asset. So before, when I'm underwriting the asset, the property, and I think it's a really good opportunity, now I have to create a slide presentation to now pitch the deal to potential investors. So if they like the deal, obviously they invest in the deal. So I'm making sure that it's a good deal up front. I have a business plan on how we're going to make money with this property. I have the pros and the cons of each option of my business plan. So they weigh their risk appetite and then either invest or don't invest in a specific asset. But I deal with all the day-to-day operations, the management, the general partner meetings, like I said, on a weekly basis, the investor relations, the K-1 filings. My team deals with everything. They continue with their day-to-day job with whatever they're doing in their life, and then they get regular distributions. Typically every quarter they get their quarterly distribution. So they are extremely passive.
All right. That is a good deal. I wonder with all of these things that you got to do in the business. I know that as business owners, we all have a lot going on. This seems like a lot to handle on a lot of properties. How are you streamlining all that? Do you use any sort of delegations, AI that's nowadays available? How do you stay organized and keep it all under control?
Yeah, you mentioned the word AI, and you and I both know it's going to change the world in a few months or a year or so. I was never a tech guy back in the day living in Canada. I was never a tech guy. I was always concentrating on that general contracting business I had and thinking I'm going to grow this thing without social media and AI. So now I'm understanding the power of social media and AI. I'm implementing AI into my daily tasks. So for example, on our general partner meetings, we have AI note takers. Then for the next meeting, so after the first meeting, it gives us a action item list. Hey, Roberto, you're responsible for A, B, C. Elisabetta, you're responsible for D, E, and F. So it gives us action items to take for the week and prepare us for the next meeting. So already we have an accountability that's held just by AI taking these notes. Then before next week's meeting, those same notes pop up and now you can review. Hey, let's highlight these topics quickly. Let's get them out of the way and move on to the next topic of the week. So AI is streamlining the discussion process and the back and forth emails and text messages that we used to have as little as 2, 3, 4 years ago, right? So AI is holding you accountable without even reaching out to your partners in a certain sense. We are also implementing AI on the financial side through our property management companies that we work with. So AI can take all these financial numbers, organize it in a certain way, and then spit out the information that you request from it. So that in itself saves hours and hours a week, right? So we are streamlining it and organizing it to be as more automated as possible, right? And I believe in a 12-month period, we can have 85% of these tasks automated, especially the low-level tasks.
Yeah, I agree.
There's a lot of talk in the AI world about streamlining this very fast.
Yeah, I feel like AI is growing every day. It's almost like whatever you're learning this week is going to be almost irrelevant next week because there's so much coming in and it all seems more and more advanced. So with the time that you spend right now on the business, what takes up like the most of your time right now that you wish you could still streamline or delegate?
You're going to laugh at this one. I have to delegate my email inbox and my messages on social media, my DMs. I have to implement AI to that. I know it's an easy task. I just can't let go of it because I don't want AI to screw up that important email response, or I think it might screw up, but it really won't. I'm not a control freak, but it's hard for me to delegate until I fully am comfortable with that either person taking over that task or in this case AI. And I'm sure once I implement it, I'll be like, hey, why didn't I do this 5 years ago?
What about executive assistant? You got one?
No, because I am not following the plan that I set myself to beginning of this year. I said I'll hire an executive assistant, and I keep blaming myself that I'm going to use AI to replace the executive assistant. And that's one of the things on my list that I'm not happy about. But yes, I am a believer in an executive assistant, 100%, because now you can concentrate on the bigger task. I can talk to more brokers. I can underwrite more deals. I can asset manage more deals, and I don't have to worry about the little stuff.
What about major operational challenge? What would that be right now?
So right now, the way we're structured in these larger deals, we outsource the property management company. We pay a third party a certain percentage of revenue, and they perform obviously to the best of their ability. Eventually, once I streamline what we just spoke about, and once I streamline the partnerships and be more familiar with our partners' kind of contribution, then I want to take property management in-house.
Okay.
So in 2 years or less, I'll be kind of vertically integrated. I'll have a property management company that's under my umbrella. I'll have an asset manager that's under my umbrella. I'll have an underwriter that's under my umbrella, and potentially a capital raiser that's under my umbrella. So these larger operators in my field that are doing really good and they're a couple steps ahead of me have most of these items vertically integrated. That's where you start cutting costs, and that's where you can implement a lot of these AI technologies to streamline the whole operations. So I'll promise you within 2 years, I'll have a lot of these items, especially property management company, vertically integrated.
Nice, nice. Those are great plans for the next couple years. I like that. Well, let's switch things up a little bit and talk more on the side of how construction companies and contractors can work with real estate investors. What advice would you give construction companies looking to work with investors? What should they look for? How are you looking into finding reliable partners on the side? Because I'm sure when you're looking for the best deal, renovations have to be a part of the deal.
Yeah, 100%. And you made a great point. So when I'm looking at these deals, I'm not looking for that A-class facility that has a fitness center, that has a gym, that has a concierge service. I'm not looking for that because there's no real upside to my business plan. What I look for is a value add strategy that I can implement into these assets, bring it from down here, implement my strategies, and exit at this price up here. So CapEx budgets, renovations, upgrades to the facilities are a huge component of our business plan. So I look for more of a distressed property that's a C class, maybe a B minus class, that if I change the kitchen, change the floor, paint the walls, maybe do some exterior landscaping and paint the building. If I do minimal work like that, I can charge more money per rent, and in turn increases my value of the property. CapEx construction is a huge part of my business plan. To answer your question, my advice, being a general contractor for the last 20 years, don't be narrow vision. Don't have this vision that you're a general contractor and you can't do anything else. Because I know good general contractors make good money. It's a great industry to be in. You can be very wealthy, but you can also invest your wealth and your extra money to earn cash flow through these multifamily properties. And like I said, you're a passive investor. You don't have to worry about it. So let your money work for you. It's not impossible to stick with your job, your career that you like in the general contracting construction world, and also invest. It doesn't take much. Let the money work for you, forget about it, and continue what you love to do, the general contracting construction. You can do both. When I was in that space, I was very narrow-minded, thinking only about general contracting and not so much about investing passively.
Yeah, that's a good advice. Like I said, a lot of people are just too afraid to take the risk, and they realize how much they need to learn not to lose the money, the hard-earned money. Yeah. But when you have someone by your side that you can work with, that seems to be a little bit more safe, I guess.
Yeah, in my industry that I'm in this multifamily world, there's a lot of good operators and there's a lot of poor operators. There's different ways to underwrite the deal to make the numbers look attractive. So a key piece of advice I would give any investor is make sure you're teaming up with the right operator. Make sure you're investing in the deal that you understand. It's in the market that you understand, that you like, that you live in. You're asking questions about why I reached these numbers and these returns. You're asking questions. And you're trying to poke holes in my business plan. So don't just blindly give that $100,000 of hard-earned money to an operator because he has a 3x multiple on his investment return. You have to understand how he's getting that 3x multiple and why. Or is it realistic if he's going to get it? Right? So trust the operator, believe in the operator. There's a lot of good and there's a lot of poor operators in the industry. Just make sure you're with the good ones.
So what are the major trends that you're seeing right now, especially in that multifamily market?
AI. So a lot of these property management companies that we outsource, they've been in the business for 15, 20 years. So they didn't really use AI before because the systems that they had, they're just kind of used to it, right? They're come second nature. So the trends now are the property management companies are starting to implement AI, and also as a facility, as a whole property as a whole, implementing AI. So now we can have AI not necessarily follow the tenant, but locates the tenant on, are they using the common laundry facilities? Are they using the fitness clubs? Are they using the swimming pool? When do they come in? When do they come out, right? Because we have a gates on, entry gates on our properties. Are they now, when they have a problem in their unit, like my toilet's broken, my sink's broken, like a request, a maintenance request, they implement it on a platform, and then AI automatically sends it to the maintenance guy, and they schedule a service call. So we want to see what the tenants are using the most and not using. So us as a business owner can say, hey, maybe they're not using the pool. Maybe we don't need a pool in this facility, or maybe we take away some chairs and turn it into something else, a pickleball court or something like that. We see, maybe majority of our tenants are coming in after work at 10 p.m. or maybe they're coming home at 4 p.m. Let's have certain activities for them at certain times. So now we start seeing their schedule, and we can work off of that to benefit their community lifestyle.
Interesting.
Right.
All right. Which markets are you most excited about for the future acquisitions? Are you staying around, Eastern Florida, or what you're doing?
So my very first property was in Tucson, Arizona. I loved that area. I loved that market. I saw the upside. But what I'm learning now after 2 years of holding it, it's a little bit too far for me when I'm in Fort Lauderdale. I can't go see the property as often as I want to go. Every quarter, every 6 months, something like that. Because as an operator, to me, it's very important to see the property with your own eyes at least once a quarter. So that one, although I like Arizona, it's not in my buy box right now. I do have properties in the Carolinas, Georgia. I love those markets. Some cities are stronger than others, but in general, the East Coast of the Carolinas and Georgia are very strong, huge growth potential. And right now, I'm looking heavily in the senior living sector for a senior living facility in Central Florida, Orlando, Tampa, Sarasota, maybe a little bit south like Fort Myers. In that Central Florida area for senior living facilities, it's a huge, huge opportunity. Think about who's coming down to Florida, what age group.
Yep, they're retiring in Florida for sure.
Yeah. So that whole East Coast, like I mentioned, has huge growth potential. Savannah Port, Brunswick Port, they have huge growth because of the automotive industry. A lot of EV battery makers are setting up shop there. A lot of EV components are setting up shop on the East Coast. So there's a lot of job attraction, which means a lot of potential tenants.
Okay. I like that. Wow. We've covered a lot of ground today.
We sure have.
Whoever is listening, I hope you got at least some helpful parts, whether you want to invest into real estate, whether you want to save on taxes, whether you want to partner up with a real estate investor. There's been lots of tips. Thank you so much, Roberto, for coming in. That was very valuable.
Yeah, I appreciate you having me on as a guest. I hope I added value to all of you listeners. The real estate industry is a huge industry for the tax benefits and for the opportunities. Real estate will never die.
That's true.